We are super excited to be here with you today to talk about our district's journey through helping to develop the emotional skills, emotional support that our students need, and the essential skills that they need to succeed. My name is Jeanette Stubbs, and I am the Professional Development Coordinator in Iron County School District, and this is Corey Henwood. He's our Digital Teaching and Learning Specialist. Iron County School District is in southern Utah, and we have a smaller district, a population of about 10,000 students. We have a good attendance rate and little mobility, but we are about 50% of students that in low-income status, and we are third in our state for intergenerational poverty. And we just started to see a lot of needs in our students that we weren't being able to handle and deal with. Our district in the last few years has tried to follow the High Reliability Schools framework of Marzano. We've established some great collaborative cultures, great teaching practices in our school district, and we've got some strong common curriculum that we're using and moving up this scale. But we're seeing this need to help support some of our self-managed learners. And in the past 2 years, our principals were coming to us and saying, we have these kids that we just don't know how to help. They're difficult. And so we looked at a lot of different options, including some behavior units that we might put these students in to help support them, and it just didn't feel right. And so we started to look at a lot of other things, like we went to San Francisco Unified and looked at their wellness rooms, their HEARTS program. We looked at the ASU study, watched Paper Tigers and Resilience, and spent a lot of time looking at things that we could use to support. And eventually we came across the poem by Joseph Malins called The Ambulance Down in the Valley. And it talks about we knew we had these kids hanging on the edge of a cliff. Some were falling off the cliff, and we had a choice to make as a district. We could be the best ambulance down at the bottom of the hill picking up these kids when they fall, or we can build a fence at the top of the hill and prevent them from falling. And so we established these strong PBIS structures in our schools. We have great programs to help see how those are working and how to establish those and look at the data that goes along with that. We have trainings that we're using with our schools to be able to see and make sure our teachers understand what trauma-informed practices are, how wellness and resilience, restorative practices are going. We've established wellness rooms in our schools where kids can take this little time out and go back to class, and after they feel a lot better with that. And then we also have behavior coaches in every school, counselors, and we've now put 8 social workers in our schools to have that Tier 2 and Tier 3 intervention. And then one of our most exciting things is in every elementary classroom by the end of next year, they'll have 15 to 30 minutes of yoga, calm, and wellness practices in their schools as well. And finally, restorative practices is something that we're doing over the next 5 years, training in a systematic way to help that become part of our school system as well. Finally, the results are in some of the things that we're seeing in our schools. Number one indicator, visiting with a lot of teachers just recently, and they felt most confident this year about the relationships they were building with kids. And that was a big win for me. Another big win is we have been able to stop 5 suicide plans just this year and get them the help that they need. One of the things we didn't realize, we have an alternative high school that if kids can't function in our high schools, we have this place for them that's in a little bit of a different environment. They had 83 kids at the beginning of this, and now they're down to 23. We're trying to repurpose that high school because we're helping them in those schools, and that's not something that they necessarily need anymore. And so we're excited about that. And finally, we have a little boy named Trexton who his day starts out by taking his grandpa off onto a sled, walking to a bathroom and helping him take care of his needs, putting him back in his bed, and then heading to school. He doesn't care about learning, but now Trexton knows that he has a future, he has people that love him, and that college is an option for him. And those are the reasons why we do the things that we do.
Awesome, thanks Jeanette. It's important work what we're doing in Iron County School District, and validating the work that we've done in social emotional learning, kind of moving to the next steps of that high reliability schools framework that we showed at the beginning. Those final 2 steps were standards reference reporting and competency-based education. And in validating the work that we've done previously, we wanted to ask our community, what are the essential skills that our students, as they graduate, will need to be successful in their future? And so we asked them. We asked for their input. We asked from business leaders to post-secondary educators, to parents, to our own educators, to students themselves. What are those skills that you'll need? And these are the top 8 things that came out. things like the 4 C's of critical thinking, collaboration, creativity, and communication, to others that are more dispositional, like responsibility, growth mindset, resilience, and even financial and informational literacy. So we have these pieces here that we've been dedicated to working on. It's noteworthy to note what is not included in this. And I think it's not only things like academic content mastery were not indicated by our stakeholders as things that were most essential, right? Which is funny. As a school district, maybe it's because we already do a pretty decent job of those things and we focus on those things already. Or maybe it's because content is maybe more now ubiquitous than it's ever been and at our students' fingertips. But in any case, these have been recognized as the things that are most essential. This isn't simply a well-designed graphic that we will put up on our website next to a mission statement or in pamphlets home or in posters in the classroom. This needs to have real implications for what we do. And so what we decided to do is actually adopt these 8 pieces as standards for our county. And so our county's school district has adopted these 8 as standards that will be taught and assessed in classrooms. Teachers have come together with the benefit of some research in our universities to provide and create proficiency scales that indicate what is the success criteria at each grade level for each of these 8 skills, so that teachers can look for those things as they're assessing them and reporting them on these things. Okay, so it's an important piece, and as we transition, as I mentioned earlier, into standards reference reporting and even competency-based education, what does this look like? So we have our report of what we've done, and our students are able to be evaluated on each of these pieces, including curricular skills, but also what we've done here. So parents can see the progress, so teachers can have that data as well. Lastly, as we move into competency-based frameworks, this is our plan for the future, that we see us building a school as of 2020 that will have students moving ahead as mastery based on these things. It's not natural for education systems to value these skills in the same way that we're promoting. But what I'm suggesting is that if you think that they're valuable, don't be afraid to make them count. In this slide here, we are counting those skills towards their grade in our secondary schools. Don't be afraid to make these skills count. They're important. Don't simply put them on a mission statement and say they're important somewhere if you're not willing to count them. These do not need to be justified by some academic achievement metrics like resilience somehow makes you better at math. These are what the ends need to be, and that's where we'll leave you. Thank you.
My name is Jabez Lebret. I'm here with CSU Academy, and today's challenge is for us to be bold. It's time to start taking some unique approaches to solving some of the educational gaps for underserved youth in particular. Right now, what we're not seeing in the system is opportunities for things to actually address the full breadths of problems. First, I'd like to start off by acknowledging future hair model and our only son, Adler Oliver Lebret, 12 months old, has really given us a new perspective on what this whole educational process means. I'm originally from Alaska. No, I cannot see Russia from my house. I am from this tiny little fishing village, and this is a picture of me at almost 3 years old. The woman who I'm lying on top of right there is my mother, who is a paranoid schizophrenic, and this was her going back to the hospital again. This tumultuous growth pattern in my life, at home, impacted me day over and day over, week in, week in, out. You think I was ready for Algebra 2 at 8:30 in the morning on Tuesday? I ended up homeless when I was 16, didn't graduate from high school, but through the grace of having friends and family who stepped up to really step in and make sure that I didn't fall all the way off the cliff, I eventually went back, got my GED. I attended Gonzaga University in Spokane, Washington, studied marketing and finance, went on to work at Nordstrom where I managed a $33 million P&L, started my own company that was a marketing agency, won many awards with our organization, but just wasn't quite feeling fulfilled enough. Wasn't quite getting that passion driven that we needed. So we started thinking about education and really wanted to make a jump to get into actually help the students like me who were dealing with life in the background, and that was struggling and making it impossible for them to actually participate in the classroom. I started thinking about the innovator's dilemma in incremental growth versus innovative change. This mobile device was innovative. This is what incremental growth looks like. This happens from conditioning and association, which is a really powerful thing in psychology. And if you'll humor me for a second, I want to do a quick little exercise to show you how this works. We're going to say the word white out loud 5 times. I'm going to ask you a question. I need you to answer that question as fast as you possibly can. All right? You guys ready? We're going to say the word white out loud 5 times. Ready? White, 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 white. What do cows drink? Water. Cows drink water. In less than 5 seconds, with this silly little example, I was able to condition you to give me a response that I knew was wrong. What does over 100 years of conditioning and education do? What blind spots do we have that we don't realize that we have? So we said, what if we could build an innovative school that paid for itself and solved and addressed these problems? Some of the problems that we have here in San Diego, 54% of our 41,000 students who are not working and not in school are female. That leads to human trafficking, drugs and alcohol, abuse, homelessness. That's the path forward for many of these students. The system's not solving the problem for the 51% of students that are living in poverty, and 46% of nonprofits say they struggle with raising capital and having enough money to implement these programs. So our solution is simple. We're building a tuition-free boarding school that will provide all the wraparound services that we need, an open-walled education, skills ready, we say college ready, win ready, career is okay too. We teach STEAM, but we also teach the social and emotional learning, the heart and the mind aspect of it. And then on campus, we build an accelerator that is going to provide for us the access to capital that we need to be able to remain tuition-free in perpetuity. We burn the boats in the harbor. I sold my company. My wife left her job over 2 years ago. We've been in this full time. We recruited a team. We found some amazing educators to jump on board to come help us build this thing together. And we are creating CSU Academy. CSU Academy will be the first self-funding tuition-free boarding school in the country. We are not a charter school. We are an independent school. Not because we don't believe in the importance of academic rigor, but because we want to build something new that is completely out of the system. It's got an entrepreneurship program, open-walled education, farming, getting your hands dirty and learning how to work with the earth. Those are all good things to have. A strong social-emotional learning program and support. This is the bioluminescence that occurred at the beach. Lasts for about 2 nights. The kids should be getting out of their beds at 2 in the morning and going and watching this and experiencing it with a science teacher, not looking at an iPad the next morning to watch the video. We need to have students learning how to work in maker labs and how to learn to build things again. Robotics and programming should be a mandatory course these days, just like math, science, history, and English are important. Making sure that we're in touch with the earth and that we have a safe and stable place to be, to grow, and to learn. But we got to pay for this somehow. Entrepreneurship is not the only way to give students the skills that they need to be able to actually truly be ready for the workforce of today, not the workforce of tomorrow, the workforce for right now. We aren't producing graduates that are ready today. Entrepreneurship is one mechanism. At our school, the students aren't the full-time entrepreneurs because they're full-time students. So they get to watch entrepreneurship as it happens. The way that this works is that the school comes up with their own ideation, a lot of ed tech solutions that we are incubating inside our accelerator. The students also have an option to come up with some ideas and ideate with business advisors. Those are turned over to a group of advisors who determine which businesses pass viability and which ones don't. Those are then kicked into an accelerator that is managed by professionals, operations people, marketing people, salespeople, programmers, engineers, who build, grow, and scale these organizations, which we either close down because they don't work, which is okay, because that happens in business, keep the organization and retain it, or sell it. We're not trying to launch the next biggest, latest, greatest app. We are simply trying to cover our annual operating budget through our own earned revenue. This completely redefines how we fund education, and it gives the students access and opportunity to an entrepreneurship experience they can't get anywhere else. A safe environment that they need, an education that's going to prepare them for tomorrow, and a community that maybe they never had before. These are the components that are going to take us to the next level, but it's going to require some heavy lifting. We need partners. We need people that have programs. We don't want to reinvent all of the wheels all of the time. We need people like you in this room to help us spread the word, to help other people understand what's possible, and to push the envelope a little bit beyond where it is today. So through all of these endeavors, together we're going to build something new and exciting for these kids. My name is Jabez Lebret. Thank you very much for your time.
Whenever you're ready.
Good afternoon. My name is Jason Weissong. My colleague is Derek Jensen, and we are honored to work for a public school district that is working on many of the innovations that you all are reading about and that we've heard about today. The concept we're going to discuss with you this afternoon is Sci-High. Sci stands for Problem Solving Incubator, and this is a new high school in our district that opened earlier this year. Before we talk about the school, we want to give you a little bit of context regarding our school district. Again, Seminole County Public Schools is located just north of Orlando, Florida. We have 67,000 students in the district. Approximately 54% are economically disadvantaged. And over the years, our initiatives have changed, but our values and our priorities, as articulated by our board in its strategic plan, have stayed the same, and that is excellence and equity, and we aspire to those goals in everything that we do. Our current superintendent, Dr. Walt Griffin, is a visionary turnaround principal at the middle and high school levels, and in 2011, he read the Harvard Graduate School of Education report entitled Pathways to Prosperity, which calls for a new social compact with youth and a different educational system. And for the last 6 years, we've been working to implement a number of innovations focused on customized learning environments that truly prepare students to be college, career, and citizenship ready. Derek is going to talk to you more about Sci-High and how we designed the school.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jason. I feel a great sense of connection to everyone in this room, everyone who's already spoken, because I feel like we're all trying to do the same thing, which is we see what needs to change. We see that something needs to change in education to address the changing economy, our students' needs, what we see out there in the world, and we're all actively working towards that together and all have some really tremendous ideas for it. So I want to share ours with you. What we did first, though, was in order to redesign the high school experience, we had to talk to some high schoolers. So Dr. Griffin asked me to put together teams of high schoolers, and originally we were supposed to meet over the course of a month, after school, once a week, for 2 hours, 4 weeks for 1 month. At the end of the month, those 15 to 16 students asked me if they could stay and keep meeting with me every week. And so I said, sure, and we met for over a year after that. And they would show up and we'd talk about questions, talk about what their day was like, and what they saw is the great things about their school experience and the things that needed to change in their school experience. And I think the things that they said needed to change will resonate with all of us because we all see it. So the first was, how do we inspire students who feel disconnected from each other and the curriculum, right? This is a question of engagement. Like most of our kids expressed that they weren't engaged all the time at school. How do we design curriculum that actually helps students with their future goals in the creative economy? Here we're talking about skills. We're not just talking about the core curriculum, right? Students feel classwork is often boring and inauthentic. How do we make work that matters and is highly rigorous at the same time? And finally, many students do not have an adult at school that they feel they can trust. And this is a relationships issue. And as we're seeing in our schools now, building effective relationships with our students is a huge, huge need. So how do we create a school structure that does that? Well, we took all of those design questions back to our district teams over all of our different departments, and our students worked with them to author a grant. And the students and district teams co-wrote a grant, submitted it to XQ, the Super School project, and were awarded a $1 million grant to redesign the high school experience and start this endeavor. And that endeavor is Sci-High, an entrepreneurial, relationship-driven program which really is owned by our students and includes 3 major changes to the learning experience. The first of those major changes is a hyper-focus on problem-based learning. In all of our content areas and bridging all of those content areas, students every semester tackle a human-centered design project of their own imagining. So they pick whatever topic they want, and it's integrated into every curriculum area as well as project time. We support those with all of our core teachers simultaneously, and because it's passion-based, every student gets a different experience. This is Caleb. Caleb's actually creating a journey map for her project right now, and Caleb's project was super cool. Caleb didn't like the lunchroom food. Caleb thought she was going to create a new menu for the lunchroom. After Caleb talked to the cafeteria workers, talked to students who use the cafeteria, she realized it wasn't a food problem, it was an efficiency problem in the cafeteria. And right now, Caleb's going to be designing an app that addresses that efficiency problem.
The core element to Sci-Hi, the thing that makes it work, is strong partnerships with our business community. And we call these impact partnerships because they go beyond just having a classroom speaker or doing a job shadow at a business. They really go much deeper. And so our students are very interested in solving community problems, and our businesses are interested in helping to solve that potential future skills gap in their workforce. And so we bring the students together in project teams to solve an authentic problem identified by the business. And one of the keys to this formula is bringing in a lot of different types of businesses. So when this started, we really thought that students would be most interested in STEM-based problems, but really we found that they're very attracted to social causes and to very difficult problems that are tackled typically by local 501c3 organizations. And so we've really been working with a variety of groups, some small startups and again local 501c3s up through big international corporations that have a presence in Orlando and that see the value in working with high school students. And so you can see kind of a sample of the partners that we've engaged at the local level. But the key is that students are engaged in design thinking. They're also learning about project management and systems thinking at a very young age, and we know that will give them lots of advantages when they move into college. All of this is coming together to create learning that we believe will be truly interdisciplinary. And so when you have an English language arts teacher who's hitting the standards and infusing skills, but also taking the time once a week to really talk about those projects and how standards and skills impact them, you get a lot of learning synergy. We've got a lot of plans for the future, including supporting student startup development and then infusing these practices into all of our traditional schools as well. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Michael. I am the Director of Academics at Republic Charter Schools, which is a network of K-12 charter schools in Nashville, Tennessee, and Jackson, Mississippi. And I'm here to talk to you today about partnership work, and really about two different teams in one city and a story of our computer science journey together. So, to the right, you'll see Lakeisha Brinson, who is the Director of Computer Science at Metro Nashville Public Schools, the traditional district in Nashville. They have about 83,000 students in that district. And to the left, you'll see me. We were both 3 years ago working on one really specific challenge. How do you teach computer science to all of your kids? Not just your white, rich, private school kids, but to all of your kids across the entire city. And we were working on this problem in our two different worlds very separately, without really talking to each other. If you fast forward 3 years to now, the story has changed quite a bit. This is a picture of Blair from Republic Charter Schools leading a training for all of the district teachers in Metro Nashville Public Schools who are doing computer science work now with all of their kids. This is a picture of a joint hackathon between the charter and the public schools when we came together for all students in the city to learn more about computer science and to get excited. And this is some of the local press that we got around the work that we started to do between those two spaces as we came together to partner on computer science in our city. But this work didn't happen by mistake. So I want to share a little bit more about our journey to computer science education in Republic schools, and then how we kind of came together with Metro Nashville, and then share some of what we learned around partnership work between our two organizations. So we started computer science about 5 years ago when we were running strong middle schools, strong elementary schools, strong high schools, but just focusing on science, math, literacy, and history. We looked around and said, we're doing really well with that work, but what can we do to get out there and really change the game for our students? And we saw tens of thousands of open software jobs in our city, but our students weren't prepared to go into those roles. So we rethought our curriculum, and we added computer science as a core course in a couple of our classrooms, 3 of our classrooms. And we saw students really start to change, not just about their interest in technology, but about what they believed a technology expert or a computer scientist could be. We saw student surveys where they believed that black girls, brown girls, low-income students could become technology students after spending a year in our computer science courses. So we got really excited. We expanded our computer science program across our schools and made computer science a required course for every student starting in kindergarten through 12th grade. We did that because we knew that this had to be a core course if we wanted every single student to change what they believed was possible for them. Before we launched this program, there were less than 50 students across the state of Tennessee who took computer science as an AP course. Last year, 125 of our students from one high school who are black and brown took that course, changing the demographic makeup of who was taking AP computer science across the state of Tennessee. And we weren't happy with just hitting that mark for our own students, because we only serve 25,000 students. So we said, let's change that. Let's open up our program and share it with whoever wants it. We built a curriculum, we opened it up, we gave it away for free. We built a teacher training program, we opened it up, we gave it away for free, and we partnered with over 100 different schools in 6 different states who wanted to teach computer science, so we could share the lessons that we'd learned with as many people as possible. And through that, we learned 4 things about our partnership work. First of all, we had to recognize that we had to improve together, not just share our resources. There were a lot of things wrong with our program when we started sharing it. So we had to take the feedback from our partners and improve our curricular work, improve our teacher development, and we had to be humble about that work. We had to share everything. Educators didn't just want the best products that we developed that we could put out there, like our best curricular units. They wanted to see what didn't work and what did work, and understand that there is no silver bullet. This is an iterative process, and learn everything that we had learned from our mistakes and our successes. And we had to admit that we were doing a lot of it wrong, and to build the relationships with people from other districts and schools who wanted to learn more about the work with us. And from that, we've been able to develop a platform of curriculum for students from grades K through 12 that we've opened up and open source to anyone who wants to take it. We've been able to give that to over 10,000 students in over 500 classrooms. And we see every day teachers getting on this platform and taking curricular units that we have either developed ourselves or that we've curated from other providers and put on our platform. We've been able to build a handbook and a playbook for how to teach computer science in schools. How do you train teachers? How do you fit it into a master schedule? How do you deal with the fact that a lot of your teachers won't know these languages before they start teaching them? We needed to build a playbook around that. How do you coach those teachers? What does it look like when you have Chromebooks in front of you? So we built a playbook, and we gave that away for free too. And most importantly, we built a community of practice. And I can get on the phone and call teachers, leaders, coaches from different schools, ask them what they're doing well, tell them what we're doing, and work together to forward the work. Because this is about equity, and this is about ensuring that every student can get a really strong computer science education. So if you want any of our resources, and we built relationships. So if you want any of our resources, please visit our website. My name is Michael Bergevin. If you have something to give to me, send it to me. If I have something I can give to you, I want you to have it for your district, your students, and your teachers. That's all. Thank you.